Here at ephotozine.tv we recently reviewed the Sony A330. Well, now we've got its bigger brother, the A330. But what does this one do that the other one doesn't? Well, the A330 is slightly larger than the A230. It's got the same 10.2 million pixel resolution as the younger model, but it's got a CMOS sensor instead of a CCD. So you get the power consumption, but you don't get the detail. It's got 9-point autofocus, the same as the other camera, and ISO 100 to 3200 range, same as the other camera. 2.5 frames per second, same as the other camera. But this has got the addition of live view, which is done by this little switch on the side, which I'll show you in close-up in just a second. And it's also got an articulating screen, which means that you can shoot from down below and up above and not have to ruin your back. One other addition that is available on all the Sony cameras is image stabilizing inside the camera, or steady shot inside as Sony like to call it. So here's the Sony Alpha A330 in close-up, fitted here with the standard kit lens 18-55 f3.5 to 5.6 DT lens. You can see the SAM, which is the smooth autofocus mode. That's the lens motors built into the actual lens itself instead of the body, making it faster to react, quieter. It still uses the same lug and screw mechanism that the Konica Minolta used and what Pentax still use. If we have a look around, you'll see the layout is roughly the same as the camera we did in the previous review, which is the A230. It looks slightly different, and that's because they've used this kind of really nice two-tone effect. You'll see it's it's not as smooth on here, it's not as shiny, it's gunmetal grey. But also, if we go close up onto the detail, you'll see it's this kind of interwoven design, which is really, really nice. I'm really getting a bit tired of seeing the same old splattered paint effect that you get on the normal cameras. So to see this is really lovely, and it gives it a nice texture to feel and hold on to while you're taking pictures. Now the command dial is still indented into the camera, which is a little bit more difficult to use than normal, but it's not impossible. It's just because it's just not as deep as your average command dial. It's a little bit thinner, so you have to really kind of dig your finger into it to get it to work. On the other side, you see you've got your live view switch there, which will pop your screen on for when you're taking pictures. This funky little button here is a new addition. This is a extender effect. Well, now, if you've ever used a 2x or 1.4 times extender on your camera, you'll know basically what it does. It extends the focal length of your camera by either 1.4 or 2 times. This does that basically effect by cropping into the image, so you do actually lose resolution as you do the crop. So beware when you're doing it. Use it scarcely, rarely, and try not to use it too much, or you'll start to lose quality and you'll be upset about the picture quality of your images. Shutter release button is there with the power switch just wrapped around it there, and on the front is a little dial for when you're switching through your aperture and shutter priority manual modes, so you can adjust the settings on it. On the back you've got your menu button there on the left shoulder and your exposure compensation button on your right shoulder. When you're in manual mode, the camera will prioritise shutter speed, so if you want to change the aperture you have to hold that button down and then move the wheel on the front and it'll change the aperture for you. The function button will bring up 6 options here for your autofocus mode. So when you're in autofocus, you'll be able to do the different modes that are available to you. So you've got single, all, or continuous. Single mode is basically you press the button and it takes it and it focuses for you. Continuous, it will keep tracking the subject as you keep focused on it, and all will basically the camera will decide which one it should be using depending on what you're photographing, which is a pretty smart feature. If we go back into the functions, you've got your AF area, your D-range optimizer, which is your dynamic range, your metering mode, a new white balance dedicated option which has been put in there, which is a nice touch, and your creative styles, which is basically adding colour to your pictures or giving them accents. If you leave it hovered over a particular area, a little explanation of what this particular menu will do for you comes up just above or below the selection, which is a nice idea.